शुक्लांभरधरं विष्णुं शशिवर्णं चतुर्भुजं प्रसन्नवदनं ध्यायेत् सर्वविघ्नोपशान्तये। ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करभावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्तिः शान्तिः शान्तिः। अगजानन पद्मार्कं गजाननमहर्निशम् अनेकदन्तं भक्तानाम् एकदन्तमुपास्महे। श्रीमहागणपतये नमः। गुरवे सर्वलोकानां विषजे भवरोगिणां निधये सर्वविद्यानां श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। अस्मद्गुरुचरणारविन्दाभ्यां नमः। वसुदेवसुतं देवं कंसचाणूरमर्दनं देवकी परमानन्दं कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुं। ज्ञानानन्दमयं देवं निर्मलस्फटिकाकृतिम् आधारं सर्वविद्यानां श्रीहयग्रीवमुपास्महे। श्रीहयग्रीवमूर्तये नमः। सरस्वति नमस्तुभ्यं वरदे कामरूपिणि विद्यारम्भं करिष्यामि सिद्धिर्भवतु मे सदा। श्रीमहासरस्वत्यै नमः। उमाकोमलहस्ताब्जसम्भावितललाटकम् हिरण्यकुण्डलं वन्दे कुमारं पुष्करस्रजं। வெற்றிவேல் முருகனுக்கு ஹரஹரோஹரா. லோகவீர்யம் மகாபூஜ்யம் சர்வரக்ஷாகரம் விபும் பார்வதி ஹிருதயானந்தம் சாஸ்தாரம் பிரணமாம்யஹம். சுவாமியே சரணமையப்பா. வாகர்த்தாவிவ சம்பிருக்தௌ வாகர்த்த பிரதிபத்தயே जगतः पितरौ वन्दे पार्वती परमेश्वरौ। श्रीपार्वती परमेश्वराभ्यां नमः। कोमलं पूजयन् वेणुं श्यामलोऽयं कुमारकः वेदवेद्यं परं ब्रह्म तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। अस्मद्गुरुचरणारविन्दाभ्यां नमः। श्रीकृष्ण गोविन्द हरे मुरारे श्रीनाथ नारायण वासुदेव। श्रीकृष्ण गोविन्द हरे मुरारे श्रीनाथ नारायण वासुदेव। श्रीकृष्ण गोविन्द हरे मुरारे श्रीनाथ नारायण वासुदेव। पीताम्बरं करविराजितचक्रशङ्खकौमोदकी सरसिजं करुणासमुद्रं राधासहायम् अतिसुन्दरमन्दहासं वातालयेशम् अनिशं हृदि भावयामि। कृष्णो रक्षतु मां चराचरगुरुः कृष्णं नमस्ये सदा। कृष्णेनैव सुरक्षितोऽहमसकृत् कृष्णाय दत्तं मनः। कृष्णादेव समुद्भवो मम विभो कृष्णस्य दासोऽस्म्यहम्। कृष्णे भक्तिरचञ्चलास्तु भगवन् हे कृष्ण तुभ्यं नमः। श्रीगुरुवायूरप्पा शरणं नम्राणां सन्निधत्ते सततमपि पुरस्तैरणभ्यर्थितानपि अर्थान् कामानजस्रं वितरति परमानन्दसान्द्रां गतिं च। इत्थं निःशेषलभ्यो निरवधिकफलः पारिजातो हरे त्वं क्षुद्रं तं शक्रवाटी द्रुममभिलषति व्यर्थमर्त्यव्रजोऽयम्। श्रीगुरुवायूरप्पा शरणं श्रीभट्टपादम् अनिशं हृदि भावयामि। वंशीविभूषितकरात् नवनीरदाभात् पीताम्बरात् अरुणबिम्बफलादरोष्टात् पूर्णेन्दुसुन्दरमुखात् अरविन्दनेत्रात् कृष्णात् परं किमपि तत्त्वमहं न जाने। കൈരണ്ടും കൂപ്പി ഞാൻ വീണ്ടുമീരക്കുന്നു നീരജലോചന നിന്നോടായി. ഏതീനു മന്യനെ കുമ്പിയിലെന്താത്തോരു രീതിയിൽ നീ എന്നെ പാലിക്കുന്നായി. കൃഷ്ണ ഹരേ ജയ കൃഷ്ണ ഹരേ ജയ കൃഷ്ണ ഹരേ ജയ കൃഷ്ണ ഹരേ. Good morning, everyone. As you can see, my voice is still not recovered from the last 1 week. No cold or cough, but I completely lost my voice. Okay, so I think we just have one more stanza left in Dasakam 8 that we have to finish the last stanza, and then we'll go to 9. We see. So Deepa, you can be student first half, and Anu, you can be student. So stanza 13. I think I thought said the meaning of 13, but maybe not the breakup. Asmin paratman anupadmakalpe त्वमित्तमुत्तापितपद्मयोनिः अनन्तभूमा मम रोगराशिं निरुन्धि वातालय वास विष्णो. So asmin paratman nanu padmakalpe, comma, tam, sorry, somebody is not on mute. Twamittam uttapita padmayonihi ananta bhuma mama roga rashim nirundi. So put a plus there, and after the word nirundi, then put a comma, because nirundi is to get rid of, roga rashim is diseases and ailments. So please get rid of all my diseases and ailments, comma, vatalaya vasa Vishnu. O Guruvayurappa. अस्मिन् परात्मन् अनुपाद्मकल्पे त्वमित्तमुत्तापितपद्मयोनिः अनन्तभूमा मम रोगराशिं निरुन्धि वातालय वास विष्णो.
अस्मिन् परात्मन्ननुपादमकल्पे त्वमित्तम् उत्तापितपद्मयोनिः अनन्तभूमा मम रोगराशिं निरुन्धि वातालय वास विष्णु. अस्मिन् परात्मन्ननुपादमकल्पे त्वमित्तमुत्तापितपद्मयोनिः अनन्तभूमा मम रोगराशिं निरुन्धि वातालय वास विष्णु.
अस्मिन् परात्मन्ननुपाद्मकल्पे त्वमित्तमुत्तापितपद्मयोनिः अनन्तभूमा मम रोगराशिं निरुन्धि वातालय वास विष्णु. अस्मिन् परात्मन्ननुपाद्मकल्पे त्वमित्तमुत्तापितपद्मयोनिः अनन्तभूमा मम रोगराशिं निरुन्धि वातालय वास विष्णु.
Shri Krishnaya Parabrahmane Namaha. Okay, Dashakam 9. My description, at least in my book, is Jagat Srishti Prakara Varnanam. Continuing creation, like I said, this is Dashakam 9 is the last Dashakam where little bit of all these philosophical concepts are going to come, and from 10 it becomes a little bit more easy to understand, but one more Dashakam of the initial creations, right, before beings come over from Dashakam 10.
ஒரே டைம் ஒன்று ஹெட்டிங் அந்த இது சொல்லுங்க. எங்க புக்ல வேற மாதிரி போட்டிருக்கேன், நீங்க என்ன சொன்னீங்க அதை எழுதிக்கிறேன்.
Jagat Srishti Prakara Varnanam. Just is description of creation. English translation. Jagat Srishti is the word cosmos. Prakara Varnanam is creation of the description of the creation of the world. Stanza 1. Stitasya kamalodbhavah tavahinabi panke ruhe kutasvididamambudhau uditamityanaalokayan tadikshana kutuhalat pratidisham vivrittananah chaturvadanatamagat vikasadashtadishtyam bhujam. So in the previous Dashakam, we saw like the little bit of, we saw the context of time that is there. And then we saw the first, then Bhattaripat said, okay, let me tell you everything that is happening from the night of the 50th year of Brahma and the first day of the 51st year of Brahma, where we are right now, which is the current day of Brahma, current Kalpa. And we saw all the definition of Kalpa and all of that stuff, right? And then in this, we saw where in that first day, like it's like every day repeats, right? We don't know, like I said, we don't know what happened in the previous days because there's no description of any of the previous days in any scriptures, because like this one Kalpa of Brahma itself is like billions of years, right? So, so this day of Brahma, which is the first day, we said from the Nabhi of the Vishnu who governs this universe, this Brahmandam, came a bud. And we said the bud is just referring to just the encapsulation of everything that was there in the universe the previous night, which went off to sleep. So referring to like a seed, right? Like a very simple example is referring to a seed. So from that, it had everything that was contained in that. And then Brahma comes now. And once Brahma comes here, this first day of Brahma, like the simple example I give is for those of you who are gardeners, which I am not, but my wife is. You have these annuals and the perennials, right? So when in Chicago, when it snows, everything goes away, right? Completely disappears. And now imagine the first day of spring is coming, which is like the day of Brahma. You're waking up and you see snow everywhere, right? That's the last day. You see snow everywhere. So Brahma is also wondering what happened to everything what happened everywhere, right? I don't see anything that is there. Now, for the perennials which are there, the infrastructure is already there. You don't have to do anything. It just snow has to melt. And then the sun has to come, spring has to come, the weather has to come, the perennials are automatically going to come. But for the annuals, you have already dug the previous year and kept. This year, once the snow melts, you have to go plant it again, right? So you buy seeds again. So very high level, that is what is going to happen in this Dashakam, right? So Brahma is waking up in the morning and he's seeing, what has happened to everything that was there before. Everything seems to be gone, right? And then he's wondering what is actually happening. And, but he has a knowledge. I'll continue in the next one. So this is what he first observes, right? That everything is gone that was there previously. Stitasya Kamalodbhavaha, that is goes away, put a visarga comma, Kamalodbhavaha. Tavahi Nabhi Pankeruhe, comma, Kutaha, put a is, Kutas, Svididam Ambudhau. So if you have the vu, vu, if you have vu, we're going to remove that vu. And it's going to become Ambudhau in the previous word. Put a comma. Svididam Ambudhau, comma. Next word will start with the u. Uditam ityana lokayan. If you want to break it, that ma. Uditam ityana lokayan. Stitasya kamalodbhavah tavahinaabhipanke ruhe kutasvididamam budhau uditamityana lokayan.
स्थितः स कमलोद्भवः तव हीनाभिपङ्गेरुहे कुतस्विदिदमबुधौ उदितमित्यन आलोकयन्.
Uditam ityana lokayan. Uditam.
स्थितः स कमलोद्भवः तव हीनाभिपङ्गेरुहे कुतस्विदिदं बुधौ
Uditam. And the me, we're just breaking it. So Uditam ityana lokayan.
उदितम् इत्यनालोकयन्.
विदितः समकमलोद्भवः तव हि नाभिपङ्गेरुहे कुतस्विदितमम्बुधौ उदितमित्यनालोकयन्. तिरितः समकमलोद्भवः तव हि नाभिपङ्गेरुहे कुतस्विदितमम्बुधौ उदितमित्यनालोकयन्.
And on the first word, stitassa.
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 So it's stiditassa.
You're saying stiti, you're saying is stitassa.
Okay. Stitassa.
Yeah, that sa is separate. So the stitaha, anga that becomes a is there. So stitas sa kamalodbhavaha. Sa is referring to he. So another, that's a separate word.
Okay.
Tadikshana kutuhalat, comma, pratidisham vivrittananaha, put a visarga, comma, vivrittananaha. The next line, the ish will go away. Chatur Vadana Tamagat. So the dvi that is there, we're going to break it, put a it. Chatur Vadana Tamagat, comma, Vikasadashta Drishtyam Bujam. So here it just, there's a little bit of what do you call, not an exact, it says because Brahma is looking everywhere, he gets four faces. But Brahma does not have a body. Brahma is just pure conscious energy which has come directly from Bhagavan. He can take whatever shape or form he wants. There's no gender also here at this point. Until the end of Dasakam 10, anybody who comes doesn't have a gender. So here, when it says he has four faces, it just means that he has the ability to look anywhere he wants, right? He's able to look in all directions. He's looking in all directions. He can see what is happening, but he's not able to understand. Tadikshana kutuhalat pratidisham vivrittananah chaturvadanatamagat vikasadashta drishyam bhujam.
Tadikshana kutuhalat pratidisham
तदीक्षणकुतूहलात् प्रतिदिशं विवर्तमानः चतुर्वदनतामगात् विकसदष्टदृष्ट्यं भुजाम्. तदीक्षणकुतूहलात् प्रतिदिशं विवर्तमानः विवर्ताननः चतुर्वदनतामगात् विकसदष्टदृष्टं भुजाम्.
तदीक्षणकुतूहलात् प्रतिदिशं विवृत्ताननः चतुर्वदनतामगात् विकसदष्टदृष्ट्यम्बुजाम्. तदीक्षणकुतूहलात् प्रतिदिशं विवृत्ताननः चतुर्वदनतामगात् विकसदष्टदृष्ट्यम्बुजाम्.
महार्णवविघूर्णितं कमलमेव तत्केवलं विलोक्य तदुपाश्रयं तव तनुं तु नालोकयन् कहेश कमलोदरे महति निस्सहायो ह्यहं कुतस्विदिदमम्बुजं समजनीति चिन्तामघात्. So subtle differences between the first day of Brahma when he came, when the Brahmandan came, when absolutely nothing was there, and then Brahma then had to not know what to do. Then he heard this tapaha, 2 words we saw in Dashakam 5, and then he had to meditate and contemplate. Different from here, because now this is another day of Brahma. So he knows that I am here, right? He already has some knowledge, but he still doesn't realize that where did I suddenly go the previous night, or what happened earlier, right? And where did all this creation I had done, where did this disappear? So he still has that knowledge he doesn't have. So he's wondering, where did this bud come from, or where is all this universe, the core essence of the universe now coming from? He begins to wonder. So the first step, like we all do, is he tries through his own intellectual curiosity to try to understand what is happening, right? So that's for the first step. He's not thinking, why where did everything go? How did this come about? How did I come about? Where did I come about, right? So he begins to contemplate on all of that thing first intellectually. Maharnava vighurnitam, kamalameva tat kevalam, put a plus, bilokya, put a comma. So just seeing him on that lotus bud, kamalameva tat kevalam bilokya, comma, tadupashrayam tava tanum tu nalokayan. Maharnava vighurnitam kamalameva tat kevalam bilokya tadupashrayam tava tanum tu nalokayan.
महार्णवविद्रूणितं कमलमेव तत्केवलं विलोक्य तदुपाश्रयं तव ननुं तु नालोकयन्. महार्णवविदूर्णितं कमलमेव तत्केवलं विलोक्य तदुपाश्रयं तव ननु तु नालोकयन्.
Tava tanum, second line, the middle word. Tava tanum tu nalokayan.
Tava tanum tu nalokayan.
महार्णवविघूर्णितं कमलमेव तत्केवलं विलोक्य तदुपाश्रयं तव तनुं नालोकयन् महार्णवविकूर्णितं कमलमेव तत्केवलं विलोक्य तदुपाश्रयं तव तनुं तु नालोकयन्
क एष कमलोदरे महति कॉमा निस्सहायो ह्यहं ह्यहं कॉमा कुतः पुट इस कुतस स्विदिदम अम्बुजम ब्रेकिंग एट दैट मा स्विदिदम अम्बुजम कॉमा समजनीति चिंतामगात कहेश कमलोदरे महति निस्सहायो ह्यहं कुतस्विदिदमम्बुजं समजनीति चिन्तामघात्
क एष कमलोदरे महति निस्सहायो यहं कुतसि स्विदिदं भुजं समजनीति चिन्तामगात्.
And the last word and the im and we are just breaking it. So swididam ambujam.
क एष कमलोदरे महति निस्सहायो यहं कुतस्विदिदम् अम्बुजं समजनिति चिन्तामगात्.
क एष कमलोदरे महति निस्सहायो ह्यहं कुतस्विदिदम् अम्बुजं समजनीति चिन्तामगात्. क एष कमलोदरे महति निस्सहायो ह्यहं कुतस्विदिदम् अम्बुजं समजनीति चिन्तामगात्.
अमुष्य हि सरोरुहः किमपि कारणं सम्भवेत् इति स्म कृतनिश्चयः स खलु नालरन्ध्राध्वना स्वयोगबलविद्यया समवरूढवान् प्रौढधीः त्वदीयमतिमोहनं न तु कलेभरं दृष्टवान्. So like we said, Brahma has enough of an intelligence to know that I have not come from nothing, right? So when we look at, so one of the ways, they say that even if you cannot see God, which a lot of us cannot because we don't have the, the readiness to be able to see it. One of the ways through inference, when you see everything around you and saying, how can something come out of without anybody creating it? So similarly, Brahma is looking and saying all of this thing that has happened right now couldn't have happened out of nothing. There should be somebody else, somebody bigger than me, because I have come, which means somebody else must have been responsible for me coming. So he has that much knowledge. Now, what he does, it says, is when you think of how a baby is inside the stomach of the mother in the embryo, the baby is attached to the mother's nabhi through the umbilical cord, right? So the entire creation of the universe is also a replica of that, like I said last time, right? That Mahavishnu, the Garbhodakashayi Vishnu, who is there in that universe, like it says, from his nabhi, from his center, only the entire universe comes. And from there, only the lotus bud came, or the replica, what he said was a lotus bud. The entire seed of the universe comes, right? So here, if you continue imagining in that is connected to the nabhi through an invisible cord because it has come from that Bhagavan. So this Brahma, it says, is going down the stem of the lotus. Now, like I said, there's no physical stem because the lotus itself is just a metaphor of everything that is contained in the bud, but he's kind of trying to trace the root of that, right? He's trying to say, where did this seed of the universe come from? Where did I come from? So he goes around exploring it for a really long time, but he's not able to find it, right? He's not able to know where is the source from where I have come and where is the source from which the universe has come. He's not able to locate it. So amushya hi saroruhaha, comma, kimapi karanam sambhavet, put a it, comma, sambhavet. Next line, the diti becomes iti. Iti sma krita nishchayaha, that is goes away, visargan, comma, nishchayaha. Sa khalu nala randhradvana. अमुष्य हि सरोरुहः किमपि कारणं सम्भवेत् इति स्म कृतनिश्चयः स खलु नालरन्ध्राध्वना
अमुष्य हि सरोरुहः किमपि कारणं सम्भवेत् इति स्म कृतनिश्चयः स खलु नालरन्ध्राध्वना अमुष्य हि सरोरुहः किमपि कारणं सम्भवेत् इति स्म कृतनिश्चयः स खलु नालरन्ध्राध्वना
अमुष्य हि सरोरुहः किमपि कारणं सम्भवेत् इति स्म कृतनिश्चयः स खलु नालरन्ध्रात्मना अमुष्य हि सरोरुहः किमपि कारणं सम्भवेत् इति स्म कृतनिश्चयः स खलु नालरन्ध्रात्मना
Nala is refers to the stem of that lotus. Swa yoga bala vidyaya, comma.
Rajesh, Nala Randratmanava, Randatmanava.
Randra, Dhratwana. Swa yoga bala vidyaya, comma. Samava rudhavan praudadhihi. So add a visargan comma there. Praudadhihi. Next line, if you have is, that is will go away. Twadiyamati mohanam, comma, natu kalebaram drishtavan. Swayoga bhala vidyaya samavarudhavan praudhadihi twadiyamati mohanam natu kalebaram drishtavan.
स्वयोगबलविद्यया समवरूढवान् प्रौढधीः त्वदीयमतिमोहनं न तु कलेबरं दृष्टवान् स्वयोगबलविद्यया समवरूढवान् प्रौढधीः त्वदीयमतिमोहनं न तु कलेबरं दृष्टवान्
स्वयोगफलविद्यया समवरूढवान् प्रौढधीः त्वदीयमतिमोहनं न तु कलेबरं दृष्टवान् स्वयोगफलविद्यया समवरूढवान् प्रौढधीः त्वदीयमतिमोहनं न तु कलेबरं दृष्टवान्
ततः सकलनालिका विवरमार्गको मार्गयन् प्रयस्य शतवत्सरं किमपि नैव सन्दृष्टवान् निवृत्य कमलोदरे सुखनिषण्ण एकाग्रधीः समाधिबलमाधदे भवदनुग्रहेकाग्रही. So Brahma then spends a really long amount of time looking for the source from where all of this has come. And eventually, like even when we try to go and look for something, after a long time we give up because we get worried that so much time has passed by. And Brahma also has the same concern. He says so many years are passing by and he's not able to locate the source. Then, he remembers what happened in his first day where all he had to do was tapa. All he had to do was look inside, not look outside. Right? Because all this time he was trying to intellectually try to find an answer for who the source is. Then he realized that's not going to get me the answer. Time for me to start looking in. So he gets into a state of samadhi, which is to completely, like we saw in the Ashtanga Yoga, completely get your mind and senses, everything under control, not have any intention of what you want, no desire, and just starts meditating on nothingness, right? That's why he gets samadhi bhalamadate. He then goes into a state of samadhi to then try to see if he can get the answer from inside. Tataha put is tatas sakala nalika vivara margago margayen, comma, prayasya shata vatsaram, comma, kimapi naiva sandrishtavan. ततः सकलनालिका विवरमार्गको मार्गयन् प्रयस्य शतवत्सरं किमपि नैव सन्दृष्टवान्.
ततः सकलनालिका विवरमार्गगो मार्गयन् प्रत्यस्य शतवत्सरं किमपि नैव सन्दृष्टवान्
Second line, first word, prayasya.
प्रयस्य
Yeah.
ततः सकलनालिका विवरमार्गगो मार्गयन् प्रयस्य शतवत्सरं किमपि नैव सन्दृष्टवान्
ततः सकलनालिकविवरमार्गको मार्गयन् प्रयस्य शतवत्सरं किमपि नैव सन्दृष्टवान् ततः सकलनालिकविवरमार्गको मार्गयन् प्रयस्य शतवत्सरं किमपि नैव सन्दृष्टवान्
Nivritya kamalodare, comma, sukha nishanna ekagradhihi. Ekagradhihi just means like a single focused thing on just one thing and not getting distracted by anything else. So ekagradhihi, comma, samadhi balamadade, comma, bhavadanugrahai kagrahi. It's one long word. If you want to break it, the only place you can break it is the da. You can break it as babat anugrahai kagrahi if you want to break it, or you can say it together. Nivritya kamalodare sukhanishanna ekagradhihi samadhi balamadhadhe bhavadanugrahai kagrahi.
निवृत्य कमलोधरे सुखनिषण्ण एकाग्रदीः समाधिबलमाददे भव अनुग्रहैकाग्रही निवृत्य कमलोधरे सुखनिषण्ण एकाग्रदीः समाधिबलमाददे भव अनुग्रहैकाग्रही
निवृत्य कमलोदरे सुखनिषण्ण एकाग्रदिः समाधिफलमादते भवतनुग्रहैकाग्रही निवृत्य कमलोदरे सुखनिषण्ण एकाग्रदिः समाधिफलमादते भवतनुग्रहैकाग्रही
Shatena parivatsareihi दृढसमाधिबन्धोल्लसत् प्रबोध विशदीकृतः सकलु पद्मिनी सम्भवः अदृष्टचरमद्भुतं तव हि रूपमन्तर्दृशाभ्यचष्ट परितुष्टधीर् भुजगभोगभागाश्रयम्. So after meditating for a really long amount of time, for years together, even in Brahma's time, he finally is now able to see something. So what he's able to see is, and it's going to get described over the next few stanzas, the first time in the first day of Brahma, when he did this tapas, he was able to kind of zoom in and see Vaikuntham, and then he saw Narayana there in Vaikuntham. That's what we saw in the 5th chapter. So here, remember, he's now inside this universe. Like I said, there is an energy of that Mahavishnu which comes into each universe, which is called, you don't have to know the name, it's not there in Narayaneeyam, I'm talking from Bhagavatam, it's called Garbhodakashayi Vishnu, which is there inside every universe, right? There's one Vishnu which governs from whose Nabhi this lotus has come. So here this Brahma, in this case, he's now able to see a Mahavishnu who is lying on an Adishesha. And that's what in this stanza says, and then more is going to come next. So that what he's essentially seeing is he's seeing that source of from which this universe has come about, from whose Nabhi this universe has come about. That is a vision he's beginning to get. So first thing he sees, he is now finally, after all these years of meditating, inside, he is now able to see you residing on Bhoga Bhaga, Bhujaga Bhoga Bhagashraya means lying on the serpent bed, lying on Adishesha. He's able to get a vision inside. So, Shatena Parivatsaraihi. So put a visargan comma there. Parivatsaraihi. Next word dridha. There is a ir on top in Sanskrit. That ir will go away. Ra will go away. Dridha samadhi bandholasat. And then put a plus. Prabodha vishadikritaha, comma. So one comma after parivatsaraihi in the first line. Second comma after vishadikritaha. Sa khalu padmini sambhavaha. Shatena parivatsaraihi dridha samadhi bandholasat prabodha vishadikritaha स खलु पद्मिनी संभवः.
शतेन परिवत्सरैः दृढसमाधिबन्धोलसत् प्रबोधविशदीकृतः स खलु पद्मिनी सम्भवः. शतेन परिवत्सरैः दृढसमाधिबन्धोलसत् प्रबोधविशदीकृतः स खलु पद्मिनी सम्भवः.
शतेन परिवत्सरैः दृढसमाधिपन्दोल्लसत् प्रबोधविशदीकृतः स खलु पद्मिनी सम्भवः. शतेन परिवत्सरैः दृढसमाधिपन्दोल्लसत् प्रबोधविशदीकृतः स खलु पद्मिनी सम्भवः.
अदृष्ट चरम अद्भुतम, तव हि रूपम अंतर्दृशा, and then you put a plus and the whole next line comes together. Rupam antardrisha vyachashta parituštadhir bhujaga bhoga bhagashrayam. So just one comma after adbhutam in the third line. Adrishtacharam adbhutam tava hi rupam antardrisha vyachashta parituštadhir bhujaga bhoga bhagashrayam.
अदृष्टचरमद्भुतं तव हि रूपमन्तदृशा व्यचष्टपरितुष्टदीः भुजगभोगभागाश्रयम्.
If you have parituštadihi, put ir to join that visarga. So parituštadhir bhujaga bhoga.
अदृष्टचरमद्भुतं तव हि रूपमन्तदृशा व्यचष्टपरितुष्टधीरभुजगभोगभागाश्रयम्.
अदृष्टचरमद्भुतं तव हि रूपमन्ददृशा व्यचष्टपरितुष्टधीर्भुजगभोगभागाश्रयम्. अदृष्टचरमद्भुतं तव हि रूपमन्ददृशा व्यचष्टपरितुष्टधीर्भुजगभोगभागाश्रयम्.
Stanza 6. Kirita makutollasate Katakaharakenyurayung manispuritamekadam Suparivita pitambaram Kalaya kusumaprabham Galatalolasat kaustubham Vapustadai bhavaye Kamala janmane darshitam. Just like how in Dasakam, earlier one we saw Kalam Bodha Kalaya Komala Ruchi. When he saw you in Vaikuntham, the couple of stanzas we said was, please give me, I'm meditating on you to give me that place. I'm meditating on that form of yours which Brahma saw. Here also very same thing. Bhavaye means to meditate. So please, I'm meditating on that form of Narayana who Brahma saw on this day, right? Which is he's now seeing, and some of the descriptions are the same thing. It says Kalam both things. Kirita Katakahara Keyuring, how you are decked, and Kalaya Kusuma Prabham, referring to that blue lily. Like I said again, the dark gray rain-bearing clouds, blue color. So he's seeing you in that form, seeing the Kaustuba Mani, seeing the Srivatsa mark in there, Kaustuba jewel around the neck, wearing a Pitambaram, and seeing you with all of your Chatur Bhujam, and seeing you, in that form, Brahma is seeing you lying on Adishesha. So that is the form which Brahma is now seeing in his mind. So that is now giving him an indication, okay, this is the person, right? And he's going to realize it later, but this is the form that he's imagining. So we are also meditating on that form which Brahma saw. Kirita Makutollasat it, Makutollasat, Kataka Hara Keyura Yung, ing sound, Yung, put a plus, Mani Spurita Mekhalam, Suparivita Pitambaram. Kirita Makutollasat Katakaharakenyurayung manispuritamekhalam Suparivita pitambaram.
किरीटमकुटोलसत कटकहार केयूरं मणिस्फुरितमेखलं सुपरिवीतपीताम्बरम् केयूरयुम् किरीटमकुटोलसत कटकहार केयूरयुम् मणिस्फुरितमेखलं सुपरिवीतपीताम्बरम्.
Rajesh, in my book it says Keyura Yuk.
If you are putting a comma at that point, it becomes a ik. But because we are seeing it along with that ma, which is coming later, that ik becomes a ing. Ng, ing. So Keyurayung.
किरीटमकुटोलसत् खड्गहार केयूरयुं मणिस्फुरितमेखलं सुपरिवीतपीताम्बरम् किरीटमकुटोलसत् खड्गहार केयूरयुं मणिस्फुरितमेखलं सुपरिवीतपीताम्बरम्
Kalaya kusuma prabham, gala talolasat kaustubham, vapus tadayi bhavaye, kamala janmane darshitam. Kalaya kusuma prabham, gala talolasat kaustubham, vapus tadayi bhavaye, kamala janmane darshitam.
कलाय कुसुमप्रभं गलतलोलसत्कौस्तुभं वपुस्तदयि भावये कमलजन्मने दर्शितम्. कलाय कुसुमप्रभं गलतलोलसत्कौस्तुभं वपुस्तदयि भावये कमलजन्मने दर्शितम्.
कलाय कुसुमप्रभं गलदलोल्लसत्कौस्तुभं वपुस्तदयि भावये कमलजन्मने दर्शितम्. कलाय कुसुमप्रभं गलदलोल्लसत्कौस्तुभं वपुस्तदयि भावये कमलजन्मने दर्शितम्.
श्रुति प्रकरदर्शित प्रचुर वैभव श्रीपते हरे जय जय प्रभो पदमुपैषि दिष्ट्या दृशोः कुरुष्व धियमाशु मे भुवन निर्मितौ कर्मठाम् इति द्रुहिण वर्णित स्वगुणबं हिमा पाहि माम्. So anytime Brahma sees Bhagavan, he has to do a stuti, he has to do a praise. So, it's so this is the praise he is doing. He's saying, Hare Jaya Jaya Prabhu. Because what happens is, when Brahma now in his mind, right, when he's seeing it, he's not only seeing this Garbhodakashayi Vishnu from whom things has come, all the knowledge comes to him. So he's able to see how all of this was absorbed into that Lord the previous night, and how from this Lord everything has come again. Right? So he's seeing how that lotus, the bud of which everything that was there, came from the Nabhi of this Lord, came because the Nabhi of the Lord is the center of the universe. So from where everything has come, and how that is the one which has come, and how he has also come from that, how everything is going to go back. He essentially gets the entire knowledge. So when he gets the entire knowledge, he does a great stuti to Mahavishnu, saying it's only because of you all of this is happening, and so please bless me. Right, so that I'm able to go and continue the process of creation this day, today. So, Shruti Prakara Darshita Prachura Vaibhava Shripate, Hare Jaya Jaya Prabho, Padamupaishi Dishtya Drishoho. Shruti Prakara Darshita Prachura Vaibhava Shripate, Hare Jaya Jaya Prabho Padamupaishi Dishtya Drishoho.
श्रुति प्रकर दर्शित प्रचुर वैभव श्रीपते हरे जय जय प्रभो पदमुपैषि दृष्ट्या दृशोः. श्रुति प्रकर दर्शित प्रचुर वैभव श्रीपते हरे जय जय प्रभो पैषी दृष्ट्या दृशोः
श्रुति प्रकर दर्शित प्रचुर वैभव श्रीपते हरे जय जय प्रभो पदमुपैषि दिष्ट्या दृशोः श्रुति प्रकर दर्शित प्रचुर वैभव श्रीपते हरे जय जय प्रभो पदमुपैषि दिष्ट्या दृशोः
कुरुष्व धियमाशु मे, भुवन निर्मितौ karmatam, put a im at the end of it, comma. Next, the miti becomes a iti. Iti druhina varnita swaguna bamhima pahimam. The last line is continuous. Kurushvadhiyamashu me bhuvana nirmitau karmatam iti druhina varnita swaguna bamhima pahimam.
कुरुष्व दियमाशु मे भुवन निर्मितौ कर्मटाम् इति द्रुहिणवर्णित स्वगुणबंहिमां पाहि माम् कुरुष्व धियमाशु मे भुवन निर्मितौ कर्मटाम् इति द्रुहिणवर्णित स्वगुणबंहिमां पाहि माम्
कुरुष्वतीयमाशु मे भुवन निर्मितौ कर्मडाम् यदि द्रुहीन वर्णित स्वगुणबंहिमा पाहि माम् गुरुष्वतीयमाशु मे भुवन निर्मितौ कर्मडाम् यदि द्रुहीन वर्णित स्वगुणबंहिमा पाहि माम्.
Okay, we'll just switch halfway. Let me see here. Sita, Lakshmi, you can be a student, and Vidya, you can be a student. Stanza 8. Labhasva bhuvanatrahi rachana dakshatam akshatam grihanamadanugraham kurutapascha bhuyo vidhe bhavatma kila sadhani maicha bhaktirat yutkatet yudirya girama dadaha mudita chetasam vedasam. So, I keep referring to Bhagavatam only because this is kind of a condensation of that, right? It's got 18,000 stanzas, right? And Narayaneeyam has got 1,000. So there's something called as a Chatushloki Bhagavatam, which is when Bhagavan now tells Brahma, he blesses Brahma after the stuti that Brahma does. He condenses everything that is to know into 4 stanzas, right? It is like if you have to explain something to your child who is 5 years old, you have to explain it with a lot more detail because you have to explain all the fundamentals. But if you are explaining to somebody who is a PhD student or on something which is their topic, you can say it in a single sentence and they will grasp it, right? So similarly, for Brahma, who's the next in line, 4 stanzas are sufficient for him to grasp everything that is needed to know. But for us, we won't understand from those 4 stanzas, but I'll tell you what those 4 stanzas say. So first, what Bhagavan tells is, before everything was there, this creation that you're seeing, O Brahma, I was still there. Because the Prakriti, the Brahman that which we saw originally, Purusha, is always there. It never dies, right? It's always there. It's the creation which keeps coming and going and getting destroyed. That Purusha permanently remains. There is never a time that Purusha is not there. It is there before the creation that you're seeing. It's there during the creation, and it is also there after the creation. So that thing is always there. The second thing is, like we said several times before, is inside every subatomic particle that Bhagavan is there. So he says there's no particle in this world or no object in this world that can exist without my energy being inside of it. There's absolutely nothing that can exist. So all of this exists in context to me. That's what Bhagavan says. And what that means is, if that energy of that Bhagavan goes away, any particle that is there, or any of us, or any moving, immoving, anything in this world or universe will not exist, because everything is fed with that energy of that same Bhagavan, which is common across everybody. That is the second one. However, that looks different for different people. We look at you, you are different. I look at a tree that is different. I look at Mars that looks different. Everything looks different, but at the end of the day, it all has the same energy that is actually there, right? And secondly, third thing it says is, like how we say there is air inside of our body, water inside of our body, but there's air and water outside of my body too. So air and water can exist outside of me, independent of me, but I am dependent on air and water, right? Instead of me. So he says similarly, just because that Bhagavan is there inside of us doesn't mean he's contained within us. He's contained within us, but he's not constrained by us. He can exist independent of everything that is there, and it is beyond all of the things combined. Just like how we say air is there outside, all of us need air inside of our body. We all may die tomorrow, but the air is still there outside, right? Air doesn't die. So that's what he's saying here is that Bhagavan will always exist outside of all of us, but he's also inside of everybody else, but he's beyond, all of this. So that is the other thing which says. And, the fourth one which says is that the only way that you will actually get to understand Bhagavan, is to realize that at any point in time and any point in space or any point in time is to either you can observe it directly, like you can, like I said, through inference, you can say that all of these things are happening. So there's somebody who's guiding it, or you can understand me through inference or through direct logic. And the direct one, it says, is only through meditation, not through consciously trying to understand something, which is what Brahma also tried. But he says it's impossible because imagine we can't even understand how our body works properly, right? And now you're imagining this entire solar system, this entire universe, multitude of universe. So if somebody is there outside and bigger than all of that, how can we possibly with our mind try to understand that? It's not possible. She says you can just not, it's impossible for you to understand me with your mind. The only way you can understand me is through meditation, and then you will get that knowledge to be able to understand me. So those are the 4 stanzas which Bhagavan then tells Brahma, which then forms the context of all of the spiritual philosophy, that we have, right? So anyway, so that is what is just summarized here, right? Bhagavan says, I'll give you the knowledge which is actually required of Brahma, so you can now begin creation on this day. You are now ready for it. So labhasva bhuvanatrayi rachana dakshatam akshatam, comma, grihana madanugraham, comma, kuru tapascha bhuyo vidhe.
Guru tapasya bhuyo vidhe.
Labhasva bhuvanatrahi rachana dakshatam akshatam grihana madanugraham kuru tapascha bhuyo vidhe. Oh, see the mute lyric.
लभस्व भुवनत्रयी रचन दक्षतामक्षतां गृहाणमदनुग्रहं कुरु तपश्च भूयो विधे लभस्व भुवनत्रयी रचन दक्षतामक्षतां मदनुग्रहं गृहाणमदनुग्रहं कुरु तपश्च भूयो विधे
लभस्व भुवनत्रयी रचन दक्षतामक्षतां गृहाणमदनुग्रहं कुरु तपश्च भूयो विधे लभस्व भुवनत्रयी रचन दक्षतामक्षतां गृहाणमदनुग्रहं कुरु तपश्च भूयो विधे
Bhavat vakila sadhani, comma, maicha bhaktirat yutkate, and then we're going to put a plus so that you'll be able to say it together. Bhaktirat yutkate yudirya giramadadaha. So add a visarga and a comma there. Giramadadaha mudita chetasam vedasam. So one comma after sadhani in the 3rd line, then another comma after giramadadaha. Bhavatmakila sadhani maicha bhaktirat yutkate yudirya giramadadaha mudita chetasam vedasam.
भवत्वखिलसाधनी मयि च भक्तिरत्युत्कटेत् उदीर्य गिरमाददाः मुदितचेतसं वेदसं भवत्वखिलसाधनी मयि च भक्तिरत्युत्कटेत् उदीर्य गिरमाददाः मुदितचेतसं वेदसम्
भवत्यखिल साधनी मयि च भक्ति अत्युत्कटे युत्तीर्य गिरं मादता मुदितसेदसं वेदसम्
And Gira Madadaha, add a visarga and a comma there.
गिरम् आददाः. Okay.
Adadaha.
आददाः. Okay, thank you. भवत्यखिल साधनी मयि च भक्तिः अद्युत्कटे द्युतीर्य गिरमाददाः मुदितसेदसं वेदसम्.
On the third line, you're breaking it with bhakti. We don't have to break it. We have to say that.
Okay.
Bhakti rat yut kate yudirya.
Okay.
Okay. Third one. Stanza 9. Shatam kritatapastataha sakhalu divya samvatsarane avapya cha tapo balam matibalam cha purvadhikam udiksha kila kampitam payasi pankajam vayuna bhavat bala vijrumbhitaha pavanaphatasi pitavan. See the meaning of 9 and 10 to just condense it off. So, like we said, so finally Brahma gets the knowledge that is required. So he now again, does another penance before he starts the process, which is going to start the creation from the next Dashakam. So he meditates again, and then first he has to get things under control, because like I was coming back to the example of planting or gardening, right? So all the snow is there. First you have to clear all the snow, clear all the stuff out. So he has to get this entire universe, because it has gone through a complete naimittika pralayam. So he has to make sure everything is proper, which he does. And then in the last stanza, he then starts, it says literally distributing the seeds of the universe, right? Like how you might take the seeds that you get from Home Depot or Menards and sprinkle it for more annuals to come. What Brahma is doing is literally he's saying, you, Bhagavan, have already created all of these planets and the beings in the seed form, in the Sukshma form. All I am doing, Brahma's responsibility, is now to go and leverage that and start building the universe, right? So all the various worlds which had disappeared previously now are coming back, and the whole thing process is going to start again. And all he's doing is he's like a farmer, pretty much. He's just taking what is there, and he realizes it, right? We don't realize it. We feel like I'm doing all this work of planting and I need to get credit for the tree. All we did is we dug it, we put the seed, right? From the seed, an entire tree grows on its own. We don't do anything other than water, right? Similarly, but Brahma realizes that's all he's also doing. And he realizes it's only because of your energy of Bhagavan that this world is coming along, and I'm just going and distributing all of this. So with that, this comes to an end, because from next one, he has to start creating the beings, because now all the 14 planets are established. Shatam kritatapastataha, sa khalu divya samvatsaran, put a in at the end of that line, samvatsaran. Next line, the na will become a, avapya cha tapobalam, matibalam cha purvadikam. Shatam kritatapastataha sakhalu divya samvatsarane avapya cha tapobalam matibalam cha purvadhikam.
शतं कृततपास्ततः स खलु दिव्यसंवत्सरान् अवाप्य च तपोबलं मतिबलं च पूर्वादिकं शतं कृततपास्ततः स खलु दिव्यसंवत्सरान् अवाप्य च तपोबलं मतिबलं च पूर्वादिकम्
शतं कृततपास्ततः सकलु दिव्यसंवत्सरान् अवाप्य च तपोबलं मतिबलं च पूर्वादिकम् शतं कृततपास्ततः सकलु दिव्यसंवत्सरान् अवाप्य च तपोबलम् अतिबलं च पूर्वातिकम्
Tapobalam, அதுக்கப்புறம் second line there's a comma. Okay, pause there. Okay, after
Okay.
tapobalam. Udikshya kila kampitam, comma. Payasi pankajam vayuna, comma. Bhavat bala vijrumbhitaha, comma. Pavana phatasi pitavan. Udikshya kila kampitam payasi pankajam vayuna bhavat bala vijrumbhitaha pavana phatasi pitavan.
उदीक्ष्य किल कम्पितं पयसि पङ्कजं वायुना भवद्बलविजृम्भितः पवनपातसी पीतवान् उदीक्ष्य किल कम्पितं पयसि पङ्कजं वायुना भवद्बल वा
Bhavat bala, first bha is the second Sanskrit bha. Next is bala is the first bha.
Okay. भवद्बलविजृम्भितः पवनपातसी पीतवान्
उदीक्ष्य किल कम्पितं पयसि पङ्कजं वायुना भवत्फलविजृम्भितः भवनबादसी पीतवान् उदीक्ष्य किल कम्पितं पयसि पङ्कजं वायुना भवत्फलविजृम्भितः भवनबादसी पीतवान्.
That's it. Tavaiva kripaya punaha, that is goes away, visarga comma punaha. Sarasijena tenaiva saha, comma. Prakalpya bhuvana trayim, comma. Pravavrite praja nirmitau. So he now starts engaging himself in creating praja or beings. Tavaiva kripaya punaha sarasijena tenaiva saha prakalpya bhuvanatrahim pravavrite praja nirmitau.
तवैव कृपया पुनः सरसिजेन तेनैव सह प्रकल्प्य भुवनत्रयीं प्रववृते प्रजानिर्मितौ तवैव कृपया पुनः सरसिजेन तेनैव सह प्रकल्प्य भुवनत्रयीं प्रववृते प्रजानिर्मितौ
तवैव कृपया पुनः सरसिजेन तेनैव सह प्रकल्प्य भुवनत्रयीं प्रववृते प्रजानिर्मितौ तथैव कृपया पुनः सरसिजेन तेनैव सह प्रकल्प्य भुवनत्रयीं प्रववृते प्रजानिर्मितौ
तथा विध कृपाभरो कमा गुरु मरुत् पुराधीश्वर कमा त्वमाशु परिपाहि मां कमा गुरु दयोक्षितैर ईक्षितै. I'm just breaking that re there. Dayokshitair ikshitaihi. So that, O Guru Arpa, you're full of compassion. You help Brahma in all these ways. Please eradicate all of my ailments and diseases as well. तथा विद कृपा भरो गुरुमरुत्पुराधीश्वर त्वमाशु परिपाहि मां गुरुदयोक्षितैरीक्षितैः.
तथाविध कृपाभरो गुरुमरुत्पुराधीश्वर त्वमाशु परिपाहि मां गुरुदयोक्षितैरीक्षितैः तथाविध कृपाभरो गुरुमरुत्पुराधीश्वर त्वमाशु परिपाहि मां गुरुदयोक्षितैरीक्षितैः अद चेत चल मुडियुमा राजेश
You can if you want to. गुरुदयोक्षितैरीक्षितैः.
गुरुदयोक्षितैरीक्षितैः
तथाविध कृपापरो गुरुमरुत्पुराधीश्वर त्वमाशु परिपाहि मां गुरुतयोक्षितैरीक्षितैः तथावितकृपाभरो गुरुमरुत्पुराधीश्वर त्वमायि परिपाहि मां गुरुतयोक्षितैः क्षितैः
And the fourth line, first word, Tomashu, Sha sound.
त्वमाशु परिपाहि मां गुरुतयोक्षितैरीक्षितैः
Krishnaya Parabrahmane.
Hey Rajesh, Rajesh, is it pravavyate or pravavrite? The second line,
Prabhavrite.
pravavrite. Okay, thanks.
Dasakam 10 is Srishti Bheda Varnanam. So the various types of creation that Brahma does. And just to give you some context so that, so at this time, Earth is still not there. Okay, because that's only going to come in Dasakam 12. So all of this is everything that is existing outside of Earth in other planets and everything. So there's the various varieties of creation that Brahma is going to do, starting from Brahma. Right now, there's only Brahma that is there. Who else is going to come next and in what sequence is what we're going to see. Stanza 1. Vaikunthamardita bhalota bhavat prasadhat ambojayo nirasjat kila jiva dehan stasnuni bhuruhamayani tata tirascham jatim manushya nivahana pideva bhedan. So Brahma now is all energized. He has got all the guidance, right? And he's Bhavat Prasadhat. So he's now, got all the blessings from you. So he's now ready to begin. So first it talks about all the types of creation that Brahma does, not actually creating right now. Some of these are going to come later. But he creates everything from the basic vegetation that needs to be there to sustain, where it says even those have consciousness, right? Except if you look at the consciousness that is there in a plant or a tree, that is different from the consciousness that is there in an animal, different from the consciousness which is there in us, right? That's all. That's the only difference. But everything has that God and consciousness in it, right? So for us, we have the ability to discriminate, knowing what is right, what is wrong, to make decisions. Animals don't plan long term. Animals don't plan saying that, I have only so many potential years to live. I have to get rid of this life, so I have to pray to God. They don't have that level of intellect. They have a survival intellect, however, though, right? So they also have a level of consciousness and intellect which is there. He says the same thing that also exists at a plant level, except they don't have too much memory like how the animals are. They don't have a sense of like survival instincts that animals have, but they also have a level of consciousness because everything Bhagavan is there in each of it. So Brahma creates all these things with various levels of consciousness. So the first 6 creations, which are up to the creations of Brahma, is called as a sarga, which is called as a primary creation, which Bhagavan does. Everything from there is called as visarga, which is a secondary creation that Brahma does. So first he creates all of the vegetation or all the animals which are there. Then he creates all the different types of beings which are there. Narayaneeyam doesn't talk too much into all of the types of beings, but there are various beings who reside in various other higher and lower planetary systems. So we saw the 14 planetary systems which are there. We are in Bhuloka. So there are beings which are there in the lower systems who are equally powerful or more powerful, but they have lower consciousness. And what I mean by that is, if you think of the highest consciousness being where Brahma is, which is high level of sattva gunam, or being able to merge or connect to Bhagavan, the more you come down in the planetary system, the more you are separated away from Bhagavan because you have other rajas and tamasic gunas being very high. So anything which is in the lower planetary systems, hellish planets, have a lot of arrogance and anger and hatred, and they're all lower consciousness. And as you start moving up to the Swarga Loka and the Mahas, Tapar Loka, etc., your consciousness goes up. You get higher spirituality and you get higher sattvic gunam, and eventually you're reaching Vaikuntham, right? So that's kind of how it is laid out. So Brahma anyway creates all these beings because at the end of the day, the soul has to take various bodies. Depending on where your consciousness levels are, you take various bodies. So all these beings, so all of this, O Brahma, you are creating. Not necessarily humans are not yet created, but this just says you create all of them, right? You are responsible for all of that. So Vaikuntha Vardhita Balota Bhavat Prasadat, put it, comma. Next line, the da becomes a. Ambojayo nirasrijat. It's one word. Ambojayo nirasrijat. Kila jiva dehan. Stasnuni bhuru hamayani tata tirascham, put a plus. Jatim manushya nivahanapi deva bhedan. Vaikunthavardita balota bhavat prasadat ambojayo nirasujat kila jiva dehan stasnuni bhuru hamayani tata tirascham jatim manushya nivahanapi deva bhedan.
கொஞ்சம் டங் ட்விஸ்டரா இருக்குது.
அப்படியா? எந்த வேர்டு?
கடைசியில திரஷ்சாம் ஜாத்திர் மனுஷ்ய
ஜாத்திம், அஜாத்திம்.
ஓ ஜாத்திம், ஓகே. ஜாத், so there is no ஜாத்திர் அங்க இல்ல.
No ir there, it's im there. Jatim manushya.
ஜாத்திம் மனுஷ்ய, ஓகே ஓகே ஓகே, ட்ரை. வைகுண்டவர்தித பலோத பவத் பிரசாதாத் யோனிரஸ்ரஜ்.
And the word is try to say it as one word only. Ambojayo nirasrijat.
Ambojayo nirasrijat kila jivadehan tasnuni bhuruhamayani tatha tirasham jatim manushya nivahanapi deva bedan. Vaikunthavardita balotha bhavat prasadat ambojayo nirasrijat Ambojayonirasrajat kila jivadehan stasnuni bhuruhamayani tatha tirasham jatim manushya nivahanapi deva bedan.
Vaikundavartita paloda bhavat prasadat ambojayo nirajasrinjat kila jivatehan tasnuni bhuru hamayani tadatirashyam jatir manushya nivahanabi deva vedan.
The fourth line, the jatir, change it to jatim.
Jatim.
Yeah.
Yes. Vaikundavarti apholada bhavat prasadat ambojayo
nirasrijat.
Vaikundavartita paloda bhavat prasadat ambojayo nirasrujat kila jivatehan tasnuni bhuruhamayani tatha tirasam jatim manushya nivahanabi deva vedan.
And the second line, ஒரு சின்ன correction, nirasru, sru sound, nirasrijat.
Nirasrujat.
Yeah.
Tambojayo nirasrujat kila jivatehan.
Answer two.
ராஜேஷ்,
Yeah.
அந்த ஜாத்திம் அது வந்து தீ லாங் இல்லை இல்லையா?
Short. Jatim, short.
ஜாத்திம்,
Yeah.
ஓகே.
Answer two. Mityagrahasmi matiraga vikopa bhitihi ajnana vrittimiti pancha vidham sasrishtva uddama tamasa padartha vidhana dhunah tenhe tvadiya charana smaranam vishuddhyai. So it says this creation proceeds in a very systematic way. Imagine if you were to create, right? If suddenly all the beings who are born are already born with all the knowledge, saying that I am part of that Bhagavan, I came from that Bhagavan, my goal is to get back to that Bhagavan, then there's nothing for them to do, right? So he has to create a framework in which people or beings will have to come and then survive, realize it, and go back, right? He has to create that framework. So that's the first thing Brahma creates. He creates 4 things or 5 effects he creates. One is he creates the concept of ignorance, and what that means is us not knowing what our true identity is. So ignorance that we have of not knowing what the true identity is. The second is an illusion that we have, moham, that I am this body, which we all have. The moment you realize you are not this body and you truly realize it, you're going to get liberated. So we have not yet liberated, which means we still think that we are this body still, right? So that is the second one. Because we are ignorant of not knowing what the truth is, we have an illusion that I am this body. The moment we say I am this body, what comes is this sense of possessiveness which comes, because everything associated with me becomes mine, right? And when you ask anybody who do you love most, if they say anything other than themselves, they're lying. And I'll give you an example. If you pick your spouse and say, why do you love that person? You love that person now because that person is related to you. So is your child, right? There are so many better children than our children out there. We don't love them more than our children, right? We love our children because it's our children, because it's connected to us. Everything that we like is connected to us. So because we are ignorant of what the truth is, we are under an illusion that it's I am my body and I am me, because of which we have a sense of possessiveness of everything that is connected to me. And because we have that possessiveness, when that possession gets taken away or there's a disturbance to that possession, we get angry or upset because we are all thinking it is mine and ours. And when that thing becomes extreme, it becomes even worse, right? So that is the 5 stages of ignorance, or the framework that Brahma creates for any soul to be there, to go through the realization. And the moment any soul realizes all of these 5 frameworks and can come out of it, that soul essentially gets liberated, because there's nothing more to test for the soul, right? So anyway, so he first creates these 5 things. So anyway, the last part of that is, this is a absolute creation that Brahma has to do, but not something he enjoys, because he says this is so bad, because this is not putting people into this web of illusion, right? But that is required thing that has to create. So he gets a little upset about it, and then he goes into meditation of how do I now that I've created a framework of how people are going to get stuck, I have to also give them a framework of how to recover from that, right? So that the second stanza is that framework. So we all are, everybody in this 14 worlds is going to go through some level of this thing, right?
Sir, could I ask one question?
Yeah.
You were saying that he created 5 things in the framework. So it was ignorance, illusion, and what were the other 3?
The third thing is, the first one is ignorance. Second one is the illusion that, I am me. The third is called as a possessiveness, because now I know I am me. Everything related to that is called. So it's like, in Sanskrit, it's he creates tamas, ignorance. And there's moham, which is illusion. And there's mahamoham, which is possessiveness that I have. And because of that, when the possession gets disturbed, it creates anger, which is called tamishram. So, and then there's andhathamishram, is extreme, like we say, blinded with anger, right? You're extremely angry because, something gets completely taken away from you and you're just really blinded with anger. That's called andhathamishram. So those are the 5 frameworks.
Thank you, sir.
Mityagrahasmi mati. So after that, you cannot break it because it's multiple words sandhit together. So mityagrahasmi mati, raga, vikopa, bhitihi, put a visarga comma. Next, the ra becomes a. Ajnana vrittimiti panchavidham sasrishtva uddama tamasa padartha vidhana dunaha, put a visarga comma, dunaha. Next line is goes away. Tene tvadiya charana smaranam vishuddhyai. Mityagrahasmi matiraga vikopa bhitihi अज्ञानवृत्तिमिति पञ्चविधां सृष्ट्वा उद्दामतामसपदार्थविधानदूनः तेने त्वदीयचरणस्मरणं विशुद्ध्यै
मिथ्याग्रहास्मि मतिरागविकोपभीतिः अज्ञानवृत्तिमिति पञ्चविधां ससृष्ट्वा उद्दामतामसपदार्थविधानदूनः तेने त्वदीयचरणस्मरणं विशुद्ध्यै मिथ्याग्रहास्मि मतिरागविकोपभीतिः अज्ञानवृत्तिमिति पञ्चविधां ससृष्ट्वा उद्दामतामसपदार्थविधानदूनः तेने त्वदीयचरणस्मरणं विशुद्ध्यै
मिथ्याग्रहास्मिमतिरागविकोपभीतिः अज्ञानवृत्तिमिति पञ्चविधां सृष्ट्वा उत्तामतामसपदार्थविधानदूनः तेने द्वितीयशरणस्मरणं विशुद्ध्यै मिथ्याग्रहास्मिमतिरागविकोपभीतिः अज्ञानवृत्तिमिति पञ्चविधां सृष्ट्वा उत्तामतामसपदार्थविधानदूनः तेने द्वितीयशरणस्मरणं विशुद्ध्यै
तावत् ससर्ज मनसा सनकं सनन्दं भूयः सनातनमुनिं च सनत्कुमारं त्रिसृष्टिकर्मणि तु तेन नियुज्यमानाः त्वत्पादभक्तिरसिका जगृहुर्नवाणी. So this is the first creation of beings which is happening after Brahma. So from his mind of Brahma then creates 4 beings. And like I said, there's no gender at this point. So if I say he or something, I'm just saying that, to give some reference. So he creates 4 beings. So they're called as the Sanat Kumaras. So they are Sanaka, Sananda, Sanatana, and Sanat Kumara. Together called as Sanat Kumaras. So these are the 4 beings who are coming from the mind of Brahma. Out of his consciousness, he creates these 4 beings. And he creates these 4 beings, and each of them takes over one path of either Sankhya Yoga or tapas, each austerities, detachment, each of the ways by which the beings who are stuck in the 5 things we said earlier can come out of it. So they are responsible for creating that framework. Now Brahma tells these beings, okay, I need your help in creation. I'm supposed to go create. I'm supposed to populate all these 14 worlds. But these 4 beings are saying, no, we are not interested. We cannot help you with creation. So the question comes, this is Brahma. That's the only other being you know is Brahma. Beyond him is Bhagavan. How can you say no to him? He says always an exception to say no to somebody. That is only if your alternate is, it says they are going to do Vasudeva Parayanaha. They're saying we are not interested in anything this. We want to be constantly meditating on the Supreme Lord, and we don't want to contribute in doing anything else. That's what the Sanat Kumara says. He says that's the rule that is said. If anybody says, I'm not willing to help you out with something because I'm going to be truly meditating and praying to Bhagavan, you cannot question that. That's always an exception to the rule there. So even Brahma says, okay, you know what? I created all 4 of you to help me out with it, but you 4 are going to be constantly devoted. That's fine. Let that be your role. And we're going to see the Sanat Kumaras going to come so many times later to guide people, right, who are getting stuck in the path of devotion, and Narada and everybody else who is going to come. So Sanat Kumaras are always there to guide people in what are the ways to get out of these 5 things. They said, I'm not going to help you create beings, right? So Tavat Sasarja Manasa Sanakam Sanandam, Bhuyaha, put is Bhuyas Sanatana Munim Cha Sanat Kumaram Te Srishti Karmani Tutena Niyujyamanaha, put a visarga, next line is goes away. Twat Pada Bhakti Rasika Jagruhur Na Vani. तावत् ससर्ज मनसा सनकं सनन्दं भूयः सनातनमुनिं च सनत्कुमारं ते सृष्टिकर्मणि तु तेन नियुज्यमानाः त्वत्पादभक्तिरसिका जगृहुर्नवाणीम्
तावत् प्रकोपमुदितं प्रतिरुन्
sorry, long stanza. तावत् ससर्ज
sorry. तावत् ससर्ज मनसा सनकं सनन्दं भूयः तावत् ससर्ज मनसा सनकं सनन्दं भूयः सनातनमुनिं च सनत्कुमारं ते सृष्टिकर्मणि तु तेन नियुज्यमानाः त्वत्पादभक्तिरसिका जगृहुर्नवाणीं
वाणीं long e.
जगृहुर्नवाणीं.
And the second line la bhuyaha becomes is there. Bhuyas.
Bhuyah. Okay.
Bhuyas.
Oh, it becomes bhuyas.
Yeah, it becomes is. If you have a visarga there, bhuyaha, that becomes is there. Bhuyas sanatana.
Okay. So there is a comma in that.
And the
Sanandam.
comma is only at the end of each line.
Okay. तावत् ससर्ज मनसा सनकं सनन्दं भूयः सनातनमुनिं च सनत्कुमारं ते सृष्टिकर्मणि तु तेन नियुज्यमानाः त्वत्पादभक्तिरसिका जगृहुर्नवाणीम्.
तावत् ससर्ज मनसा सनकं सनन्तं भूयः सनातमुनिं च सनत्कुमारं ते सृष्टिकर्मणि तु तेन नियुज्यमानः त्वत्पादभक्तिरसिका जगृहुर्नवाणीं जगृहुर्नवाणीं.
Yeah, jagruhur. Yeah.
जगृहुर्नवाणीं तावत् ससर्ज मनसा सनकं सनन्तं भूयः सनातमुनिं च
Bhuyas sanatana.
भूयः सनातमुनिं च सनत्कुमारं ते सृष्टिकर्मणि तु तेन नियुज्यमानः त्वत्पादभक्तिरसिका जगृहुर्नवाणीम्.
And the second line again, the sanatana. And the na, you missing it.
Sanatana
munim.
Okay. மறுபடியும் மிஸ் பண்ணிட்டேன் நான் அத. Sorry. Okay. பூய சனாதனமுனிம் ச சனத்குமாரம்.
We end the class here. Shri Krishnaya Parabrahmane Namaha. Sandhanandhavabodhatmakamanupamitam kaladeshavadibhyam nirmuktam nityamuktam nigamashatasahasrena nirbhasyapanam aspashtam drishtamatre punarurpurushartatmakam brahmatattvam tattavadbhati sakshat gurupavanapure hanta bhagyam jananam कायेन वाचा मनसेन्द्रियैर्वा बुद्ध्यात्मना वा प्रकृते स्वभावात् करोमि यत् सकलं परस्मै नारायणायेति समर्पयामि. Quick announcement, guys. So you all saw that, I don't know how many of you saw, but in that community group, I put a link for the registration for the Narayaneeyam. So I'm assuming all of you who are in Chicago will definitely come. I know Lakshmi is coming from Kansas City. But all of you are welcome. You can forward it to your friends. Anybody can join. So the people who want to chant, I want to make sure I get your names first, right? So there are multiple tabs there. If you look at it, one of the tab is who is coming. So if you are coming, put your name. So for example, Ravi, if you and Vidya are coming, I want 2 different lines so I know who's coming. And then put your lunch count, right? You can bring any number of people, no worries at all, but just put a lunch count so the temple can plan for lunch in there. And then there is one tab which is sponsorship tab, and there's one tab which is prasadams that you can pick. I don't know how many are left, but you can please pick one if you get a chance. And then the last one is any dasakam you want to chant. So the way we'll all do it as a group. So we're expecting about about 70 to 100 people to join. So everybody will chant as a group, but then I will give you a chance to chant on the mic that one Dasakam that you pick. So if somebody picks Dasakam 1 or 2, you'll be on the mic leading it, but everybody else will also be chanting along with you. Okay. So this is happening in the Sri Rama Sannidhi on Krishna Janmashtami on 17th, right? So great opportunity. So all of you please come, and please also forward the flyer to your friends as well. Okay. Any questions, just ping me on that. Okay. All right.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you,
Rajesh.
Rajesh. Yeah, thank you, Rajesh, so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Rajesh. Thank you.